A doppelganger, in the everyday term, is a description of a person that looks identical to yourself or others. However, a paranormal doppelganger is a manifestation of an entity that looks identical to yourself or others, but with a creepy or disturbing demeanour. Emilie Sagee had decided to pursue a career in teaching, and had been doing so for 16 long years, and it was said she was very good at her job. But for some unknown reason, Emilie moved from her place of employment quite often, in fact, a grand total of 19 times, and in 1845, the reason was discovered under very bizarre circumstances. One particular day, as Emilie was standing at the front of her classroom teaching, the students were shocked and terrified to discover an exact replica of Emilie appear out of thin air right next to her, mimicking her every move as she wrote on the chalkboard. As Emilie wrote on the board, the doppelganger did the exact same movements. The only difference was that the apparition didn't hold a stick of chalk in its hand, but still seemed to hold its hand in a way that suggested the chalk was indeed there, invisible or not. It was said that as soon as the entity appeared, the real Emilie seemed to go into a groggy trance-like state, and was totally oblivious to what the rest of the students were witnessing. The classroom was not the only place that the entity liked to appear. The entity also made an appearance one day as Emilie was eating her lunch, and this was witnessed by a room full of students. As Emilie sat eating her lunch, the doppelganger appeared directly behind her and started once again to mimic her moves, mirroring the exact same way that Emilie was eating her food. Every time the spectral doppelganger made an appearance, Emilie was totally oblivious. As time went by, it would soon become apparent that Emilie's strange doppelganger did not need to be in the same room as her to manifest. On one particular day, 50 students were all busy in their sewing class. The teacher rose from her chair and left the room temporarily. Seconds later, Emilie walked into the room and sat at the front of the class in the teacher's chair, with a blank expression on her face. The students carried on with their work until one of them gave out a gasp. As the student pointed with a shaking finger out of the window, she could see Emilie working in the gardens outside. The real Emilie. The students stared at the apparition of Emilie sitting in the chair in front of them, expressionless and emotionless. Two of the students decided to pluck up the courage to approach the apparition, and they later described what happened as they grew closer. They said the entity looked just like Emilie in every way, but when they bravely reached out and touched the figure sat in the chair, their hand just went through it. And they described the sensation as being quite similar to running your hand through a thick cobweb. Later, the real Emilie did state that when she was in the gardens picking flowers, she was in fact thinking about how much she would love to be teaching the sewing class inside, instead of being in the garden. And once again, she did recall becoming very tired and drowsy, as she always seemed to whenever the doppelganger appeared. One theory stated that Emilie could be conjuring up her entity by the power of the mind, by thought. For instance, the day that she was in the garden and wanted so much to be in the classroom, could this possibly have been a way of her mind projecting an image of herself in the classroom? Or could it be something more supernatural, something sinister? Emilie's spooky doppelganger continued to show up throughout the school, scaring the wits out of the students. The students would often see the ghostly twin manifest before their very eyes, either standing in the classroom or floating down the hallways. And as you can imagine, the students of the school became more and more freaked out by the whole thing, and eventually the school had no choice but to fire Emilie, due to the complaints from the students and the students' parents. And with that, Emilie left her place of employment once again for the 20th time, and hopefully her ghostly twin went with her.